In this video, I'm going to show you that Bill Russell's 11 titles are not as valuable as Michael Jordan's 6, so stay with me here. With mostly everyone saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT, it has never been only because he has 6 championships, which LeBron fans claim is the argument. The argument concerning the finals and championships is this. There are players that have won more titles than Jordan. We know Bill Russell won 11, we know Robert Horry has 7, and there are others who have more titles than Jordan even while they won every single NBA final they went to. There's actually a very long list of players with a 100% winning finals record on their resume. So this is not it when we talk about Jordan being the GOAT. We will, for the sake of this argument, use Bill Russell as an example. The question really should be if they were also the most valuable player of all those NBA finals. Were they the main and centerpiece of that championship team? How much competition did they have to go through? Robert Horry, the main piece of an NBA title team? Nah, not even close. A simple role player that's replaceable. Now let's get into Bill. Bill Russell, for example, has 11 titles. We also have one more thing we have to take into consideration, that the MVP trophy was introduced in 1969. Russell's first finals was in 1957. But let's check if he even deserved it. In 1957, Russell was the 4th scoring option on his team in the finals. He did average 22.9 rebounds with 13 points a game. But Bob Pettit from the Hawks averaged 18 rebounds while also scoring 30.1 points per game in those finals for the Hawks. Pettit played forward and center for the Hawks, so you could say he was covered by Russell a lot of the time, yet he was an absolute beast in that series. No MVP for Russell here. In 1958, Russell was the 5th scoring option on his squad, and the Celtics lost. They played against the Hawks again, and Pettit again had his way against the Celtics with averages of 29.3 points and 17 boards versus Bill Russell's 14.5 and 19.3 rebounds a game. It has to be said that Russell went down with a leg injury in the 3rd game of that series and returned for the 6th game, which was actually the game that cemented the Hawks as champions. No MVP for Russell here. In 1959, Russell was the 7th scoring option on his team. The Celtics won the title, but Russell only averaged 9.5 points, but had 29 rebounds a game. I don't consider him for an MVP on this one either. In 1960, Russell was the 4th scoring option. He averaged 16.7 points and 24.9 rebounds. Looking at stats, you could argue that Pettit was better overall, averaging 26 points per game and 15 boards, but because the Celtics won the series, it would be hard to pick a better candidate for MVP than Russell. So let's say he has one here. In 1961, Russell could have won another. That's up in the air. Russell averaged 17.6 points while rebounding 28.8 rebounds a game, but had a below 43% field goal percentage. Bob Cousy could have been the MVP as well, but he had an even worse field goal percentage at 36. So this would go to Russell. So this would be another MVP for Russell. That would be 2 now. In 1962, Russell could have gotten another. That's 3, right? I'd say only because the Celtics won though. Russell did have very good stats with 22.9 points and 27 rebounds, but the opponent in the Lakers had Elgin Baylor, averaging 40.6 points and 18 boards in that final series. Let's say Russell has 3 MVPs now. In 1963, Russell could have another. That would be potentially 4 MVPs now. Even though Elgin Baylor had a great series again, this really was dominated by Bill Russell as he averaged 20 points per game and 26 rebounds. That would be 4 MVPs. In 1964, his scoring dropped off dramatically, and he had a 38% field goal percentage, so no MVP here. In 1965, an argument could be made he could have had a 5th MVP in the finals. Let's give it to him. That would be 5. In 1966, he could have won 6th MVP to tie Michael Jordan in those. Looking at Russell's stats there, with 23.6 points and 24.3 rebounds, it's a no-brainer. So looking at Russell, he has 6 finals MVPs right now. In 1968, there was a possibility of another finals MVP, number 7. That is true. So 7 finals MVPs now. In 1969, I don't see an MVP as his field goal was below 40% and he only averaged 9 points per game and was the 7th scoring option on the Celtics. So Bill could have between 3 to 7 finals MVPs, after what I just presented here, for all of his finals appearances. And if that's the case, you can make a better case for Bill being in the GOAT conversation than LeBron James. Here is where all those titles lose so much value to me. From 1957 to 1961, the NBA had only 8 teams in the whole league. While having 8 teams, first of all, you have a 12.5% chance of winning a title every single year. Just for comparison, MJ had a 3.3% of winning chance every year. From 1962 to 1966, expanded to 9 teams. They had 10 teams in 1967, 12 teams in 1968, and 14 teams in 1969. As we all know, expansion teams are not strong teams, and there was a lot of expansion during those years. Another worthy mention is that from 1957 to 1965, the Celtics had to only play 2 rounds in the playoffs, a division final and the league final. That's it. MJ had to go through 4 rounds of the playoffs every single year. So many more games and beating on your body. Only in 1966 through 1969, the Celtics played 3 rounds of the playoffs. Bill retired at the age of 35 years old after a 13-year career. So while Bill has 11 titles, he never had as much competition as Michael Jordan had. He played way less playoff games altogether, mostly only 2 rounds, which gave the Celtics an even higher percentage of chance of winning. It was a different time in a different league, and looking back that far, the titles and everything else is just not worth the same. That's my view. For his time, Bill Russell was great. He had done a lot for the game and is an icon of the sport. He was the first black superstar in the league. But to even think his titles are equal or even close to as hard to win in a league that was expanding every season is just not right. There is no comparison competing against 7 other teams for a title and competing against 28 or 29 other teams. It's not a comparison playing 2 rounds of the playoffs and needing only 8 wins, and for MJ having to play 4 rounds every playoff and needing 16 wins to win the title. I think that debate has been put to rest here.